So you were born in that house? Yeah?
Of the Mountainside Community Clock. And before we start, I'd like to ask you all to join with me to a Pledge of Allegiance. There's a flag directly above me. I Before I tell you about the story about this clock, I'd like to introduce some of the councilmen from Mountainside. I have Bob Messler, Councilman Mortimer, Councilman Turner, Councilman Mirabelli, and then somewhere hiding around here is our administrator and chief of police, Jim Debbie. He's hiding in the back. We call this the Mountainside Community Clock. And believe me, folks, it is truly a community clock. Over 100 people participated in getting us here this afternoon. Back in 1995, or actually 94, when the borough was doing the renovations to our community center here, Mike Disco, the borough engineer, and I were trying to figure out a place to put a clock. And we did not have this site. At that time, this was a Friendly's, this was a parking lot. About a year ago, sitting over in that corner and looking at the beautiful landscaping from Valley National, we thought, gee, wouldn't this be a beautiful place to put a community clock? We went to Valley National. Not only were they very, very cooperative in giving us the use of the property, but they also pledged a very substantial amount of money. That got us going. From there, we had to start to get solicitations. And we had the backing of the money from the bank. We sent out letters to every business, friends, and neighbors and residents of Mountainside. And today you're going to see on the clock over 100 people who have contributed from $250 to over $5,000. You're going to see on the clock, on the main base stem, will be a list of names of residents and businesses. The minimum donation on those names is $250. Below, you're going to see 3 plaques that were given by 3 different groups. The minimum donation on that was $1,500 to a maximum of $2,500. And then on the bottom, you're going to see 12 plaques. The minimum donation was $1,000 and the maximum exceeded $5,000. This clock is actually a gift from these people to our community. When I first sent out the letters of solicitation, I got a phone call from Gene Lord. And he said, "What are you doing? Come on down, I want to talk to you." So I went down and I saw Gene, and I explained to him what we were doing, and Gene gave me a very nice donation. And I said, "Gene, how would you like to read? Lord Insurance, Gene Lord, State Farm?" And to paraphrase Gene, he said, "Hell no." He says, "My wife's been with me all these years. I want her name on that clock. I'd love her grandchildren to see their grandmother's name." And that stuck in my mind. And a couple of weeks later, I got another call from another gentleman, Bob Denora, who wanted to know what we were doing. And I explained to him, and I told him the Gene story. And Bob gave us a very substantial contribution, and he put his family's name on it. And he says, "You know what? I've got other friends who I think would like to do this too." That led to 4 more families who came through with donations in excess of $1,000 each. Then I got a very, very sentimental phone call from Danny Blywise. Now, the Blywise family has been in Mountainside since 1914. And Danny said, "Mayor, I'm the last Blywise. I'd like to do something for my family in remembrance." And on the plaque, you're going to see a dedication. It says, "From the Blywise family, a part of Mountainside since 1914. And I don't see Danny here today. And he's not here. I then also went to Maxwell's, Don Maxwell's Furniture. And I asked them, I said, "You know, you guys do furniture and all. We're doing the clock. Would you like to donate a bench?" And they came through with a beautiful, beautiful bench that right now has a temporary nameplate on it because we couldn't order the plate because we didn't know the size that would fit. But now we do, and it's on order. But that plate is on the bench. The bench is permanently mounted. And every morning, Bob and I are going to sit here and have a cup of coffee, and we're going to ponder the woes of the world. And between him and I, we'll probably mess up everything. So that's how we've gotten here today. And I'm going to tell you now what happened in construction, because we had a nightmare. And I will take full responsibility for the nightmare because I tried to play engineer for a day and I learned my lesson. It's not as easy as it sounds. We had a foundation that was put in. It was put in incorrectly. It was determined that we could not salvage it, and it had to be removed. Now we're under a deadline because the man that installs the clock comes from Ohio, and we had one date in which he was going to do it. If we lost that date, we lose a month. Well, we were in a panic. Jim Debbie calls Walter Heckel from Mountainside. Within a half hour, Walter's here with a huge steam shovel. We removed the problem. And now we have a hole in the ground, and we've got to have everything done in less than 10 days. Prior to that happening, Mello Construction, Mike Malango, he was going to do the granite work for the clock. He saw the problem. He knew the fix we were in, and he said, Mayor, we will take care of it. Within 3 days, they had a form here, had already poured the concrete with Mike Disco, put everything together, and in 10 days, they constructed what you're going to see here today. Without Mike Disco and Mike Malango, we would not have been here. So now you're going to, before we finish, I'd like to ask Mike Malango. I saw him. I know you're here. Would you please come forward, Mike? These are miniature clocks that people have paid for in the solicitations. They bought these clocks. They actually work all four faces. You had to be a contributor. I cannot think of a greater contributor to this clock than this gentleman, Mike. And I'd like to present to you and your family that clock. I mean, really good. Is Ed from United Crane here? That's another one. When I asked United Crane, Ed lives in Mountainside. We needed a crane to take this clock off. We needed 1 month to store it and a crane to put it up. United Crane provided everything for free. When we talked to Weldon Concrete, we said, hey, we had to buy concrete. We weren't sure what we needed. Can you give me a discount? They said, no discount. It's free. The electrician, Jerry, is he here? We drove this poor guy crazy because he had to come back every hour as we would do something to hook it up, then leave, come back, leave, come back. It's S&W Electric, and we'll see that he's going to get a miniature also. Now, I also want to present right now to the Vice President, Governmental Affairs for Valley National Bank, Mr. Jim Fitzgerald. I want to present him a miniature for his corporate office and also ask him to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. When the mayor calls, said, Jim, I have an idea for a clock for our community. And I think the mayor said I have an idea for a clock for our community. And I think I have a location that it should be situated. Since that point, Valley National Bank has really been pleased, our senior officers, to support the clock project and to join the community of Mountainside in this endeavor. And as I look at the clock today and I see where it's situated, I have to say the mayor has very excellent taste. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Mike Disco Sr. is ill, cannot be here today, but his son is here. I just saw him in the audience. I'd like to, on behalf of Mike, I'd like to present to the M. Disco and Sons. These people are the borough engineers, but what they did here was on their time, and they put in more time and effort than you can imagine. And I thank you very much, because without your dad, and you and your brothers, we could not have been here. With that, I'm going to ask Jim, Lori, and Don Bob Maxwell, who refuses to speak, if you guys would please come over here and pull it off. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your community clock. Thank you very much for coming. Please stay, have some drinks, have some food, talk with your friends and neighbors. And again, thank you very much for your support, and God bless you all. Also, I want to thank those who gave us the food, the Restaurant 89, the Spanish Tavern, and Lou Mancinelli, and Blywise. Thank you.
How'd you get it? Well, I live in Huntington County. I've got a lot of beer, you know. A lot of beer there.
My house is
I don't know. I got it.
below Tampa.
Brittany, I saw.
Yeah. They're back there eating.
I thought nobody had recognized me, but no, actually, we all know.
You know,
This is wonderful. Very great. Bye. Bye. I'm not dressed for that. I'm gonna ask.
boy, is that great. That is so cute. That's a little Jimmy. Yeah. Jimmy, look this way.
Look over here.
We haven't played.
Starts to get really hot. It's Tuesday.
Okay.
It's supposed to be the hottest day.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
We've had like sunny weather. I mean, we had talked about last week, this week. Oh, my Catholic knocked down renovation. Their house, next to us, we did all their bathrooms. Yeah, he just moved it.
Oh, that's right, because he put it under time. Hang on, Francis, I'll walk back with you.